I want you to look at that real hard. That's the 4K camera recording how much wind is going on right now. It's that still. So I had to do something. But before I show that flight, let me tell you what I did. It's the little 5-inch. I'm still working on that dancing problem, I called it. Ended up calling it. One viewer suggested I name the thing. Thumper was a good suggestion. By the way, it hit the ground. The few times it hit the ground, it hit squarely flat on the bottom with a good loud thump. I thought, by the way, it jittered up and down in altitude hold mode. It should be called Dancer. Most of the other things I name my drones I can't say in public. But it didn't get quite called Dancer. It actually got fixed. Let me show you what's going on there. And what's going on there is when you come into the setup under mandatory hardware and you go down to this initial tune parameters, you need to do that. It's no longer a Control A option hidden. It's in the build and in the documentation a little bit. Anyway, you come in here and you give this some information. This was a 5-inch build. It was using a 6S battery. These values are for LiPo. They change if you choose like a lithium ion. I don't want to be confusing about this, so we'll just leave it at LiPo. Most people understand that more than lithium ion. Also, if you come down here and add suggested settings for versions 4.0 and up, battery fail-safes and fence, you see it calculates some values for you. Battery fail-safe. Here's the fence stuff. Let's try to keep it even simpler than that. We'll take that check mark off. And here's what it does for... This is me jumping in post. Sorry about this. It also changes a lot of other parameters. They're just the same in the platform I'm playing with that's connected to Mission Planner at this time, so they don't show here. There's a lot of rate and roll and all sorts of other stuff that's changed. I'll try to, in another video, show you how much that changes, because this utility needs to be talked about. I went ahead and went back and flashed my bench flight controller with a new set of firmware, so I can come in here and show you, because that was really messed up when I saw that in post. This was a 5-inch with a 6S battery, and when you generate parameters, you can see here's all these ATC accelerometer, Excel, P's, ATC rate, yaw, etc., 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 etc. There's much more than the simple parameters I showed when I was building up this video. It's not just the battery things that you saw me just speaking about. It's all of these things it changes. And then when you write them to the FC, it comes back with this same little set of 3 that I did not do up until today. This one was this way. These 2 I had to fix, and they seem to have taken the dance out of it. When you write this to the flight controller, this little message comes up. It said initial parameters successfully updated. Check parameters before flight. After test flight, set ATC throttle mix manual to 0.5. Set PSC ACCZ P to motor thrust hover. Set PSC ACCZ I to 2 times motor thrust hover. I did not do these 3 steps after my flight for checking out how much oscillation I had before I put my notch filters in. That seems to be all it was. So I chased down another area. If this comes back or gets worse in any way, I have another one little, two actually, parameters that could help with this. But just changing these back to what it just said in that list seems to have fixed the problem. This is that extra information I didn't have to use. Right at the bottom, if altitude hold oscillates up and down, reduce by 50%, PSC, POSZP, and PSCVELZP. I haven't had to touch them yet. Doing what is right above it fixed it. Let me show you that on my quad real quick. So this is inside the platform itself. Right now you can see that ATC underscore THR underscore MIX probably is enough. There we go. It's a 0.5. That's its default, so I really didn't have to change that one. And the reason I hadn't messed with these yet and kept that piece of paper, I actually kept those three things I needed to do printed out on a piece of paper on the back burner part of this project, because I knew I'd have to address that someday. And that's because of that hover motor learn, how much I hate that particular function. I've gotten used to it now. It has to do with that, so I was ignoring all that, anything that had to do with hover motor learn. And the other two parameters were in the PSC area, PSC underscore ACC Z underscore. And we can just look at these here. We're supposed to, oops. Need to find out what motor thrust hover is first. It's 0.125. That's what it's been set to by hover learn. Like I say, I'm confident with it now. So having that 0.125 on hand, we can go back to the PSC underscore ACCZ underscore P&I. So P is supposed to be set to motor thrust hover 0.125. That's what it's set to. Notice this range here is 0.2 to 0.15. You're going to, when you set this to 0.125 like you should, oops, it's going to complain. It didn't this time for me because that's what it was, but it will. It's outside the range of what this default is, but let it go anyway. And 0.125 times 2 is 0.25. So the I term here is 25. This says it used to be 5 and 1. We can find out what my platform was before I changed it today by comparing it to a previous version. And going down to the PSC ACCZ right here, the I and the P. Yep. See, it was 0.5. Now it's set to motor thrust hover. And this one was a 1. It's down to twice motor thrust hover, but much less than a 1. So these two values right here is basically all I changed. Now that I finally got around to it. Oh, I've been holding that one behind my back for a while. So I charged up a battery and went outside to fly it, configured like that. It had rained all day long.
Altitude hold.
Well, that altitude hold sounds really good. So I started horsing it around to try to make it bounce like it was just any kind of pitch or roll. And it acted okay. So I decided to land it, turn on the 4K camera, and look for jello. You can already see the water from the ground coming through my landing pad. It was really wet out. Because I had confidence in it, I took off an altitude hold for the first time ever. And we're going to horse it around some more. It just sounded so good, and it just flew so good in altitude hold right at that moment. It's killer. So I was fat, dumb, and happy.
Motor disabled.
So I don't have the RunCam 4K video for the first flight that you saw on the GoPro on my hat, but I do have the second flight, so let's look at that and see what kind of jello we have now. And that's how I took the dance out of the little 5-inch today. I think it's going to work out pretty good. It's ready for full flight testing now. All right, guys. Thank you so much.